Hi, friends, and welcome back to Elevate with Erica. So, yesterday, my husband and I returned from our annual tent camping trip to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we had such a great time. We enjoyed having zero signal for a couple days, and we went on our favorite hike thus far. It was a hike up, in case you're in that area, it was a hike up the Sharp Top Trail. It was a very steep hike. And just losing signal and living in nature for a weekend really allows you to sift through your thoughts that usually get lost in the noise of the hustle and bustle of the day to day. Like, have you ever heard someone say that they do their best thinking in the shower, right? It's because it's just you and your thoughts. And that's basically what we did, but we did it for a weekend. And boy, did I need it. I've been sharing a little bit on this podcast and more so in my social media stories about some big shifts that have been happening in my life lately. And I hadn't really had time to process them all fully because I'm not by default one to sit back during big experiences and changes and to reflect. I am more likely to jump into immediate action mode, like, okay, let's make this work. Let's see this redirection as part of a greater plan. Let's work through it. I'm just not one to sit with emotions very long. Now, I'm actually an emotional person. I love the full spectrum of human emotions and how it creates our human experience. But I just don't think that we need to, stay in them for any long term. I don't think we need to unpack and live in an emotion that's not serving us moving forward. And so, as I shared last week, the BODi company, you may know them formerly as Beachbody, I've been partnering with them since 2016, and they made some changes to their compensation plan and business model. And I won't go over the details, but as a result of those changes, some experiences that we were able to have as body partners are gone as we knew them. And the earned trips to somewhere tropical, are gone as we knew them. The annual summits to a different city each year, the parties, the group workouts with our super trainers, as we know those experiences, they are gone. And I like to say, as we know those experiences, because I believe that with success of this new affiliate model that we're moving towards, that other opportunities like these will present themselves. And maybe even not with the BODi company. I don't know. I can't see the future. But I just feel it to my core that it'll be with another community in the health and wellness space. I just know that those experiences with those people making an impact in that space, I know that those experiences are not done for me yet. It's just a knowing that I have. But when I first heard about the changes, I didn't process through the sadness of that being the end of those experiences as we knew them. I jumped right into, okay, how can I make the most of this affiliate model, income wise, right, for my family, and also still continue helping people live healthier, happier lives? What are my plans to continue that mission and this purpose and calling that I feel in my life? And that's what I've been brainstorming through the last couple of weeks. But after some time out away from everything with my husband camping, I said, you know what? It's really sad. It's really sad that our Team Beachbody trips are over. We won't experience them like that again. And feeling that sadness for a moment, it opened up a space for me to move into real gratitude for it, though. I am so grateful that I got to be a part of that community. I'm so grateful that I earned experiences like that for me and my husband. He had a blast on those tropical trips I was earning for us. If not for Team Beachbody, we wouldn't have been out on that dance floor at our always well put together parties, having the best time with people who, like me, earn their spot there by inspiring others on their health journey. We wouldn't have been in that big courtyard full of us crazy Beachbody people ready to work out together at 6 a.m. while on vacation. We wouldn't have gotten to feel that energy because there's nothing like it. I am so grateful for the experiences that Team Beachbody afforded me. And having this opportunity to really process that whole pivot with BODi cleared up some mental hangups for me because so much was happening. So many pieces were moving in my life these past couple weeks that I was starting to have a hard time focusing on, okay, what now? It's like I had all this momentum to go forward, but I was having a hard time focusing on how I was going to do that. Ideas were just bouncing all over, and new endeavors were just like clouding things up even more for me. And I needed this time away, even in the middle of one of the most chaotic seasons of my life, right? I actually needed the time away to just feel the pivot, not unpack and live in those feelings, but to feel them for a moment and process before continuing to move forward. And I just wonder how often we skip that step in our lives. Because if you're someone who's driven by action like me, if you're the one that's going to take the lead during a big life experience and set the course for the action going forward, I wonder how often we skip that step of just taking a moment to sit, pause, reflect, and move through and thank the experiences, even when they're painful. Because while I actually love the part of me that's able to keep walking through change, grow forward, I also know that part of growing forward is thanking our past, being grateful for how we got here, even if it didn't go as planned, and thanking those experiences because they taught you the lessons that you needed for where you're going to go next. Thanking those experiences because it was the fire that you needed under your butt to finally make that big, scary change in your life. If we get the pivot, whether it's one that we've asked for or one that we didn't, and we jump too quickly into action, we miss the most important part of that last chapter. And we forget the lessons that we're supposed to take with us. And we can easily soil all of the good things about that past experience with the stress of it not having the ending that we thought it would. It's like that verse from that Thomas Rhett song, we make our plans and we hear God laughing, right? Understanding that every pivot is part of a grander plan is great. And that was my immediate thought too. When I heard about the BODi changes to come that would affect how I would operate my business moving forward. But it also helps to pause and connect the dots on why that part of your story was necessary. And even if you can't connect the dots yet, pause and take the lessons from it. I think as we get farther along onto our next thing, we'll be able to look back and see more clarity and be able to connect the dots. So even if you're not to that point yet, you can pause and take the lessons from it, pause and be grateful for it. And that really brings me to a point that I wanted to emphasize today, that reflection isn't weakness, it's the way forward. And sometimes we think that if we slow down or sit with our feelings, we're losing momentum or wasting time. But reflection is powerful and it allows us to carry forward the wisdom from the past. Because it's not about getting stuck in the what ifs or the should haves, right? That's not forward moving reflection, if that makes sense. But it's about understanding the value of what has already been because we live in such a fast paced world that pausing feels almost countercultural. It's not the norm of society, but it's necessary. And growth doesn't only happen in the action, it happens in the pause too, because that's where clarity finds us. And that's where we gain perspective. If I hadn't taken those moments in the mountains, if I hadn't allowed myself to grieve those incredible team Beachbody experiences, I might not have made space for the deeper gratitude that came after it. And in that gratitude, I felt a renewed energy to embrace this next chapter of my life, to figure out what success looks like for me now and how I will continue to impact lives. So, my challenge that I want to leave you with today is something that I think is simple, but so often overlooked. And it's allowing yourself the pause. Whether you're going through a career pivot, a personal transformation, or a period of uncertainty, whatever it is, I want you to give yourself permission to reflect, process, and then move forward with gratitude. And I want to leave you with a thought to consider. How can you create space in your life for reflection? Because maybe you can't get away in the mountains with no cell phone signal for a weekend camping trip, or you can't take a long vacation. I want you to know that this message is for myself too. It can just be in a morning walk. It can just be journaling for 10 minutes, or even sitting in silence in your car for 10 minutes after a busy day before you walk into the house to greet your family, right? Find what works for you and allow yourself to fully feel the emotions that come up and to appreciate the lessons that you've learned thus far and to move forward with that renewed sense of purpose and direction, because you're not losing time by reflecting. You're gaining insight, which is actually going to help you move forward at a more efficient pace. You're aligning yourself for what is next for you. I feel more aligned than ever with where I'm headed. I feel like getting lost in the mountains during one of the most chaotic seasons of my life gave me clarity on the way forward, because I see God's open doors waiting for me to confidently walk through. I see what I was meant to learn from that chapter of my career that was Team Beachbody. And I feel grateful for that experience. I'm excited to see how I can continue making an impact with this pivot and with this new sense of direction. So when this episode leads you to take your moment to reflect, I want you to feel this level of gratitude and clarity too as you move forward, because I believe that you're about to walk into something great, my friend. I believe that you're about to walk into things that are worth everything that you've had to walk away from, worth every experience that you're walking away from. And when you take this time to reflect and feel what comes up and shift into gratitude, you stop looking around you for direction and you start looking ahead at what's already waiting for you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And as always, I'm so grateful for each of you who show up here. I love hearing from you and I can't wait to connect more. So if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear how you're going to create space for reflection in your own life. I want you to drop me a message using the text message feature on the podcast platform, if that's where you're tuning in, or if you're on YouTube, just leave a comment there, or feel free to DM me on social media anytime. Until next episode, friends.